Hi, my name is John Biddle.
And my name is Sam Biddle.
And welcome to our podcast.
I hate this book.
Where I read my book, The Harvester,
to me,
my wife, who hates it. Chapter 35.
Yeah, we're nearly at the end, huh?
Yeah, we're 3 off. After this one, there's only 3 more to go.
We have this big gaping hole in our lives.
We won't, because there's Hypnos to start reading.
It's funny, we started this at the beginning of lockdown, number
May.
1. And we are now...
It was just after your birthday, wasn't it? We started this, because Devon and Beth were here.
And I wonder if we'll finish on my birthday, or we're going to just carry on.
I think we should carry on, really. Just crack straight on with Hypnos.
Okay.
What do you reckon?
Well,
You up for it?
Yeah. You said Hypnos is a better book than this one.
Yeah, it is. There are some rough chapters.
Well, there was rough chapters in this one, but it's okay.
But I think it's, I think I've toned it down a little bit.
So, do you think you'll recategorise your books?
Is that 'cause you saw me doing it last night?
What, I didn't. Were you doing it? No, you were talking about doing it. So, because before your genre was, what's that? Thriller?
Yeah, I don't really know. I know what category my books are in, but I think I need to niche them down a bit more for sales.
It's always good to sit in a niche.
And I don't really know where it sits. If you drill down below thriller, suspense, crime, police procedural, female protagonist, serial killer, psychopathy. Yeah, where do you go beyond that?
I don't know.
Where would you think?
Well, you got medical.
Yeah.
But there's not a lot of medical. Maybe the first 3 or 4 chapters was medical, but actually these last ones are all police.
It's more police procedural. So I need to go below what is police procedural and then go below that. So organised crime for sure. Hard boiled.
What's that?
Hard boiled is well, it's like violent, uncomfortable, hard boiled. Like if you were watching a hard boiled program, you'd be watching something like, I don't know, The Fall. Would be a hard boiled serial.
Criminal Minds.
Criminal Minds.
I watched the last series.
I wouldn't say Criminal Minds is hard boiled because it's a bit sort of.
Well, they start.
They do really cover some dark stuff, but in the way in which I think it's quite clever in so much as that a lot of it is you don't really get immersed in. It's not immersive in terms of the people, the perpetrators that they're chasing.
No.
What you're looking at is you see the horrible act or an idea of the horrible act, and then what you see is the investigation. So I don't think it's hard boiled. It's called they call it something. It's like a magazine sort of, like a Hello magazine of crime. It's not, and that's why it's so successful. Is because it's not graphic. If it was graphic, it'd be very different. Like the Hannibal series, like even I found that uncomfortable to watch.
I didn't watch it.
You didn't know, and you wouldn't have enjoyed it because it was quite rough.
I didn't. I can't do things
What other series would you say that
I wouldn't watch?
That you've watched that you would say that it would be hard boiled, was uncomfortable to watch? Like The Fall, there was aspects of The Fall that was quite uncomfortable.
Aspects, yeah.
You know.
Yeah, but he was mesmerising.
He was, and that was part of the charm of him.
Yeah.
That's how he got away with it.
Yeah, so
very well acted.
I don't know. I mean, it's difficult for me because I don't watch that kind of program or see those films, so I don't, and I stay away from those things.
No, we just got into McLeod's Daughters.
Oh my god! I although to be fair, I'm like, I don't know if I even want to watch this anymore. The acting's terrible. There's fucking music behind every.
It's like porn.
I don't know. I wouldn't know. I wouldn't not seen porn.
No bollocks.
But it's like it's like this music is like every time there is this dramatic act, which is the dramatic act might be somebody having an argument in a pub
or falling off a horse.
But that's the dramatic.
Sheep shearing was it?
Yes, So we watched 6 episodes last night. I don't know if
How many?
could bear. Did we not watch? I
No,
think we
3.
watched 6. I don't know if I could bear.
I
And
think...
do you know what's really annoying? Which I actually found. I don't really class myself. Yes, I do. Actually, I'm lying to you. As a what's it when women are independent? What's it called? What's the word called? I don't. When the opposite to male chauvinistic.
Feminist.
Feminist. I wouldn't really say that I was a strong feminist. I do like men to be men, but oh my gosh, I was uncomfortable watching it because I'm not saying this of all Australians, but the misogyny of men.
The premise of the story is a farm in the hinterlands of Australia, very isolated, that's now being run just by women.
Two daughters.
The problem with the direction is being directed by a man. I think that's the problem. I think, but when I went on IMDb and I looked in future episodes, actually a woman takes over the directing in series 2.
Okay.
And I think you'll see a very different.
Yeah, because it's all about the women and how they can't run this farm or this homestead. And they do, and it's 5 women that start running it with very little help from men, and the only help they get from men is because they want that farm. And it's but it's just that whole chauvinistic, the first 3 episodes, somebody gets raped, and and this is a really it's a mild sort of undercurrent, but nothing's done, and they weren't reported because that the men are going to go, well, she looked for it.
Yeah, she asked for it.
But, in that scene, she said, I get to choose. Men don't choose for me. I choose who I decide to sleep with. And but it's so subtle and badly acted. But that saying, we will watch all 7 series. We will watch them all.
It was the same with Heartland.
It was, I suppose. I forget.
And we battled through it, and then suddenly it became
addictive.
It wasn't bad towards the end.
No, I mean, we sat and watched it. It wasn't like we were doing other things. We just sat and watched it. And
we flew across the Atlantic watching Heartland.
We did, didn't we? Like we did.
8-hour flight to Atlanta. We smashed 8 episodes, literally.
Yeah. And with we had an earphone each, earplug each. We were watching it, and then when we were in Dubai, we'd go do our bits and bobs and go back to the hotel and watch an episode of Heartland. And then all through the summer, we watched. We were a bit addicted. Once we get a series, we just smash it through.
Latch onto it.
I think that's called Netflixing. No, that's called binge watching.
Netflixing.
Netflix. It's
not. No, that's Netflix and chill.
Yeah. We didn't have time to do that.
Talk about that. Anyway.
Yes. No, it was.
So how's your week been?
It's been busy. I've got a launch on Monday, yet another launch. So we're just getting all of our bits and bobs together, and I'm finally getting my energy back from not being so well the week before. So I was actually, I was appreciating.
Has it passed then?
I don't know. I get every so often I get tiredness, but I don't need to go to bed. I get wobbly, but I don't need to go to bed. I certainly feel like I've got 10 more energy. So it could be you were right that it was a virus. So it's been a busy week, very productive, and I feel good. And it's a full moon, which is a snow moon, yes. And it's in Virgo.
Okay.
Well, we've just read this, and that literally means that everything is brighter and clearer, and our minds, answers are answered, and we just feel more positive. So there's a blanket of bright, clear, white snow over everything, and it always looks so beautiful when it's like that. So that's how I feel, actually.
We're going to have lunch outside for the first time since October.
We are. We're going to sit in the sunshine.
Because it's beautiful out there. And
we have got a fire if it gets cold, and I am going to wear a fleece, but it's lovely.
The sun is quite hot.
Yeah, I don't mind. It's lovely. I'm excited, actually. We should. What about you? What have you been doing this week other than nights?
Well, nights.
Is it calmed down at the hospital?
Little bit. Yeah, well, for sure. Well, from a critical care point of view, it's still busy because people spend longer in ITU now because we kind of have a handle on COVID and how to treat people. But as a consequence of that, they're staying in ITU for longer and becoming sicker with other things because of being in ITU for so long. But in terms of COVID, I think our hospital has 44 COVID patients now. So the previous 2 weeks ago, it was 56 people, and then 2 weeks before then, it was over 100. So the numbers are coming down.
That's good.
And when lockdown ends, we'll become busy again, really busy, because everybody will be punching themselves and getting shit-faced and getting run over by cars.
Hip replacements.
And then we were back to the elective stuff. But I don't know how we'll be able to do that because I think up and down the country we've lost a lot of people in terms of, the COVID situation has caused a lot of people to reevaluate their lives.
Well, certainly that's something I'm doing, is reevaluating my life and the direction I'm going with, work and business and things like that, because you sort of, you're like, what is it that I want to do? And I suppose lockdown has given us the opportunity to sit. And although, to be fair, I've been working through lockdown.
Yeah, well, we both have, haven't we? So it's not been, kind of an easy path for us necessarily.
No. But we're very blessed that we've been able to.
Absolutely.
We've in fact, it's only been now that we're actually been financially affected.
Yeah.
Just now we've run out.
We just run out of money, haven't we?
Yeah. And that that's only because obviously we're
investing and stuff,
and my business is reduced somewhat, but it's not. We're fine because we're coming out of lockdown. I'm just very thankful that it's now.
Yeah.
We're good.
Anyway, should we get back to the book?
We should really. It's been very serious. I mean, we're meant to have a funny podcast, and we're talking about
serious shit.
Serious shit. That must mean that we're in a serious mood.
Yeah, because it's a serious chapter.
Oh, is it a bad chapter?
No, it's not a bad chapter. But we're going to meet a chap called Simon Broadstone. And he's going to become quite an important character in the Alex Brown series.
Oh, okay. So it's not chapter 35 is the end of the book and you're now introducing a brand new person.
No. It's not the end of the book, but I am introducing a brand new person.
Is that wise?
What do you mean? How do you mean?
Why is that then? Why would you do that?
Because, it'll all become apparent in this conversation that she's going to have with this chap.
Simon Broadstone.
So he's been ringing because he needs to speak to Alex, and she's kind of been avoiding him through the course of this investigation.
Does she know who he is?
She has no idea who he is. No idea. Okay. But he knows who she is.
Is he a baddie?
No, he's not a baddie at all.
Is he a goodie?
He's a goodie, yeah.
Oh, does she have a romantic liaison?
Not at all, because that will all become apparent in Hypnos. Okay.
Let's do it.
So, chapter 35 of chapter 35 of Harvester. Hypnos doesn't go to 35, it stops at 34. Anyway, here we go. Dinner destroyed. Now, remember, they've had a Chinese, and one of them had fish and chips, remember?
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, so they're at Frank's house.
I thought they had something. I thought we'd gone off from that.
No, they've left the police station.
Yeah, no, I remember that.
That's all been shot to pieces, and remember? Jae-yeon, the
assassin,
yeah.
Yes. Oh gosh, she killed Squib.
She killed Squib, yeah. Right, here we go. Dinner destroyed. Frank was filled in. So that means if you sort of that's a bit discombobulated, because if you read my books, that narrative is they've finished eating dinner and Frank has now been...
In other words, when John speaks army speak, like when he's speaking with his friends, they speak in clipped sentences with literally just the adjectives. Is that description? Yeah. And the description and action words. What's the other one? Adjectives and verbs.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all you put in. So you don't actually put in dinner was destroyed because they ate it all.
Yeah.
And Frank had all the information and he was filled in with the situation.
Yes. So I wrote that in one sentence. Dinner destroyed, Frank filled in.
I suppose. And to be fair, it's efficient.
It is efficient or sufficient?
Efficient.
Efficient, yeah.
It's not, well, I suppose it's sufficient as well. But yeah, it's, but yeah, you do that sometimes to me.
Do I?
Sometimes.
Okay.
I'm actually trying to rack my brains for an example, but you do sometimes do it.
Okay.
To me.
Anyway, he grabbed a couple of the members of the team to cast an eye on the global picture of what was happening. Ricky was frantically working on Frank's family computer. When did you buy this computer, Gov? I think it needs coal to keep it running. It's that old, Ricky said, as he tapped into the Met Police software and was using...
I'm sorry, but that is the most annoying thing in the world, is when somebody has a computer that's, one, not an Apple, and two, so old, and then you're clip-clopping on keyboards, and it just, you can hear it whining to go to the next
You
page.
don't have necessarily massive experience with that because you work from home, and you're immersed all of your devices. And when I go to work, everything, I'm working on computers that were bought in 2000. And use Microsoft.
Well, I do appreciate it, because when we've gone shopping and bought something and they said, could you put your details in? Or I know I wanted to get some eye surgery and I had to sit there and do a with a stupid big ass computer keyboard. Yeah.
I know. I have it every day at work.
But what kills me is that people don't sometimes even have computers.
I know somebody who doesn't even have an email address.
Oh, I just don't understand. I don't understand why you... Well, I was thinking about this yesterday because, my industry, not everybody is tech savvy. And I love technology, so I am a little tech savvy. But it's I think, what do you do instead? Like, how do you get on and what do you do? And I understand that you probably appreciate the world around you more. But I don't.
If you're dragging your heels on this, you can have a problem in 5 years.
Who?
People that are dragging their heels with technology. You don't want to be part of it, who are refusing to be part of it. Like, we've got a friend, I'm not going to mention his name, who doesn't even do online banking.
Yeah, I know.
Well, he's going to struggle in 5 years. Because most banks won't have a presence on the high street.
I've got a client that doesn't do online banking. She still brings me cash.
Does she clean it? Well,
I have to clean it now. I put it through I've got some wipes, I clean it and stick it in a bag. It's shit. But yeah, my other client sends me the money before she comes. So it's all online. But it's like, I just don't understand it, because it frees you.
It does.
But on the other side of the coin, it binds us because we are reliant on it.
Yeah, when it goes wrong, you're a bit sneaky, aren't you?
Well, you just use the other device.
But anyway, back to the book.
Okay.
He tapped into the Met Police software and was using facial recognition and the vehicle number plate tracking software. Ricky knew that Ng was in Chinatown on Lyle Street, a restaurant called the Black Dragon, hailing from Hong Kong.
That's scary shit, isn't it?
Had been open there for nearly 20 years.
That people know where you are.
Yeah.
If somebody wants to find you...
They can easily.
Yeah. I mean, not during lockdown because you're in the house all the time.
But even so, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you've got webcams and all sorts. I know, sorry. Even Bertie's growling at that one.
the only restaurant on Lyle Street that was from that region in East Asia, it had been the first place to look for Ng. The next software that Ricky tapped into was the mobile network. The criminal underworld had wholly gone digital in the last 10 years, thinking that their systems were safe. Landlines were in essence a no-no. But the authorities were quick to catch up with the technology evolving in the criminals' favour. The software that Ricky was using was a tympanic resonance system installed in most of the cameras around the major cities in the UK.
Is that for real?
For real.
How did you know about that?
Because I've seen it in action.
Okay, what's it doing? Oh, you're going to tell us?
I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
With the right access, of which Ricky didn't have, The tympanic sensors isolated people talking, and by using the vibration of their voice digitally through lip reading and muscular facial contouring, the camera could transcribe 90% of what the person was saying. In fact, the software goes one step further, and the energy rebounding off the surfaces, such as plastic bins and windows, can make this 100% accurate.
How do you know about this?
This is standard intelligent software. This is being used.
But if he's in the restaurant, they can't tell. It's only when they're in the street.
Yeah, so CCTV cameras that are equipped with this software, they can do that, and that's why criminals now wear face scarves and things like that, because it muffles that vibration.
So lockdown's done them a good service then.
Yeah, it has completely. The only thing that dampened this down was the rain. Are you kidding that the intelligence services use this all the time? Alex said. Yep, and it's how most of the jihadis and drug dealers are caught. The authorities don't particularly like using this software as a means of arresting or taking down perpetrators, so they will use other methods to secure it, follow or react to the information shared, Ricky said. Does this not scare you, Ricky? Alex said. Not really, Sarge. I kind of like it. If you have nothing to hide, it's the price of living in the free world, I guess, he said, shrugging.
But is it a free world?
There's no such thing as a free world.
But, you know, I sort of agree with Ricky, but I also, you know, I've got nothing to hide, but even so, I don't want people to know what I'm doing.
For you to have the price of freedom, there's sacrifices on everybody's part.
But that's not freedom. That's being monitored. We're being monitored.
But you're not being monitored.
But how do I know that?
Because if somebody's monitoring you, what are they going to glean from that?
I don't. Well, nothing other than
because you've got nothing to hide. That's the root cause. That's the root. Bottom line is that you've got nothing to hide. So if these systems are in place that's making us as a society safer, then is that not a price worth paying?
So on the other side of the coin, we watched a true crimes program yesterday, and it was this guy that had been put away in jail for 40 years for a crime he did not commit. No, actually six years. And then 40 years later, the actual guy was arrested
and charged for it.
But he was put away in prison unjustly. This would prevent that.
Yeah, could have done. Certainly, the DNA evidence he wouldn't have even been a suspect. This is what they were saying, the DNA evidence.
But I just want, you know, one of the things it made me think about was, God, what if I was ever framed for something that...
Yeah, we talked about this. There was that program that we watched, and it's called. I looked at it. It's called Capture, and it was what they wanted to do was this politician wanted to show. They said that all the surveillance that we're talking about here, the surveillance that we have in London, it's flawed because it can be manipulated, and the people that created this software and stuff said it can never be manipulated. So it was a politician that had created. This woman had been killed, but she hadn't. Her body had disappeared. And what they'd done is they'd manipulated the image to make it look like he'd killed her and her body had disappeared.
Right.
So he was then pursued by the police and blah 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 blah, and sent to prison. But it all went completely wrong because she turned up, and then it wasn't the Americans, but it was the British intelligence and the American intelligence service that had cottoned onto this. So there was a subplot with it. So basically what they were saying is that all of this technology is great, but there's technology that can change it. Right.
So I see. So yeah. Well, that's it, isn't it?
Mm.
But did they find out that he was doing it?
Yeah, no, he had done nothing. So the actual original video, there was actually nothing. He'd done nothing. He'd kissed this girl and then he walked away. But they'd made it look like he'd stabbed her.
Yeah.
And he hadn't done anything.
That there is scary.
And that's quite scary. That's where it can go wrong.
Mm.
And there was another...
was this a fictional program?
Yeah.
Oh, was
It's on BBC.
Did we watch it?
We watched it. He was a soldier. And the reason why they chose him is because he'd killed a Taliban insurgent in Afghanistan unlawfully and went to prison for it. But he was acquitted in the High Court. And then one of the barristers, the girl was one of the barristers, and she was in on it, and so she sort of led him on a little bit at the post sort of acquittal party, and he was a bit drunk, and she led him on a bit, and then they went their separate ways. But it made it look like he'd actually stabbed her and killed her at the bus stop when they got off the bus.
I think I seem to remember something like this.
It was called Capture.
Okay.
But it was all, secret intelligence services, and they were basically trying to protect. It turned out that the intelligence services actually were already doing this, and that's what they thought. The inciting incident of the subplot was that they thought that another intelligence service had been doing, and then they started fighting as well.
Bloody hell.
So it all got quite complicated and sort of escalated quite quickly.
We'll stick to McLeod's daughters.
Yeah.
It's very easy.
But anyway, this technology is around.
Gosh, okay.
And drone technology,
That's silent.
that is silent. That's happening now. I know soldiers that are trying in drones that are silent in this country, and so law enforcement will be using drones. And when I was with UK Med up and we were doing my disaster management thing, I was there with we were sort of like doing this scenario, and there was a couple of firemen with these drones, and they were specially equipped drones, and they're supposed to. These drones are amazing. They fly for hours, and they go into buildings, and they have heat cameras and stuff like that. And these guys were at the Grenfell Tower,
right?
And they showed us the videos of these drones going in every single room in the tower. So to find people, so the fire brigade didn't have to put themselves at risk. Incredible, all the way up in every single room.
It is incredible. It is. I mean, that's where technology is. Well, I suppose do you know what? There's a balance of everything. There's always, there's yin and yang. There's good and bad. There's night and day. There's a balance of everything. Whether technology is good, there is also that dark side, which,
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, here we go. Not really, Sarge. I kind of like it. If you've got nothing to hide, it's price of living, blah, 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 blah. He said, shrugging. So, what are you doing now? Alex asked, sipping a Coke. She pulled up the chair. The talking behind them became distant as Alex dialed into what Ricky was doing. She loved watching him work with the keys, the screen dancing in and out of the other screens and the video feeds. She had no idea what he was doing. I've triangulated the cameras on Lyle Street, Ricky said. Tapping away, the cameras on Lyle Street pinged up 3 different views. Apart from the hordes of tourists ploughing through the pavements, it was difficult to pinpoint anything. How will you see him? Alex asked. I won't. The software will. And they were both looking and watching for something. Let me try something else, Ricky said. He highlighted the large window of the swanky Black Dragon restaurant. Let me see if there's a digital signature emitting from inside the restaurant. What does that mean? Alex asked. Simple. If there's a camera on the Wi-Fi network, it will give off a signature, which means I can access it. He was typing furiously and his tongue in the corner of his mouth. A couple of seconds later, a small black screen came up and a green dot matrix-style script started listing. Bingo, Ricky said. The next image was a camera in the back of the restaurant just above the serving pass. The camera was adjustable. It's even got sound, Ricky said. Bloody hell, Alex exclaimed. The camera stopped panning and Ricky zoomed. The thin man, matching Ng's description, was sat eating with another man who was very fat, face not accessed by the cameras. Bosh, there he is. Hold on, let me clean up that audio. It crackled and then became sharp. The men spoke, one in eloquent English, Ng, the other heavy Russian accent. Ricky dialed into the software with the names and then targeted the audio. Alex was curious. What are you doing there? Voices are like fingerprints, and we have started storing audio that is used as surveillance. Ricky was trying to concentrate. It means if the audio has been stored before in any police or intelligence surveillance, their names will come up. He stopped and looked at Alex. Bang to rights, basically. Blimey, Alex said. You'll be on here too, Alex, Ricky said, smiling. In any investigation, if I were to plumb your name into the software, every surveillance audio, including interview times that are digitally recorded, would be available. That's perturbing, Alex said, putting the face. Not every Tom, Dick or Harry can access the audio. There's levels of security, Ricky said.
So would our stuff be on there then?
What do you mean?
Well, we're not on the system because I've not
No.
broken the law, so my fingerprints or nothing.
No.
Yeah, my blood might be.
Why would your blood be?
Is that not because it's in the medical system?
No, there's very strict rules with that. There's no way.
So so my, or
if you're arrested though.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I would have to speak to our son to get
Ooh,
clarity on that.
We can.
But I think you have to give a DNA sample if you're arrested now.
But yes. So if I'm arrested, then I'm on the system. But if I'm not arrested, I'm not on the system.
No.
It's interesting. But I wonder if he's arrested. If he's not, because he hasn't been arrested. But I wonder if he's on the system because he is in the police.
Yeah, I think he is. So
there is that familial DNA.
Well, they have to because they've got to be eliminated from crime scenes. If they're in, like when Jordan was saying, he was there at that. There was a killing in one of the parks, and all the police officers were trampling through the crime scene. But they've all been, if they come up, they'll be eliminated because if they were present at the crime scene, then, which is a great story plot for me, which I'm going to use.
A policeman that's a murderer?
Yeah, well, no, forensic scientist that will be the murderer. And there she will come and...
Oh, it's a she?
Yeah, she'll come and she'll be the pathologist investigating her own crime scene.
I think...
And she'll have other people's DNA and she'll use that. It's good, isn't it?
Apart from the mindset, like, would she have already planned to be the murderer?
Oh, yeah, she's
and then so she would then become a pathologist in order to do it again.
No, there's always a trigger, isn't there, with psychopaths? So,
yeah, but what comes first? I mean, would she?
Yeah, she'll be a scientist. She'll be the scientist first.
So then, but surely there's that.
But her own inciting incident will be a sexual assault.
Right. Okay.
So she will start. She will then sort of be in a vigilante sort of thing, but that will escalate to. Do you know what I mean? Some bloke stares that are wrong on the bus, or even so, she'll then, that could trigger her. Yeah, exactly. So,
nice.
Yeah, that's good. It's going to be a great story. But anyway, we'll get back to it. We've got a hit on one of the voices. Ricky said, acquiring the name of the signature. Well, bugger me with a pitchfork. Who is it? It's Dmitry Orlov. Remember old Dmitry Orlov? The Russian psychopath who owns a sex club.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But he was quite nice.
Apart from when he was cutting the skin off that little Chinese man.
No, but he was quite fair.
How was he fair? Sometimes.
He was quite... he was not doing that, but he was quite helpful.
In what way?
Just carry on.
It's Dmitry Orlov from that swingers club you and Renton went to. What the fuck is he doing there? Alex was still unaware of the encounter both Ricky and Renton had with him. Can we turn up the sound? Alex asked. Sure. Voices associated with the names. The transcriber on the computer screen was listing the conversation like some weird text messaging thread. Ng, you didn't have to kill my associate, Dmitry. He shouldn't have got involved with me giving the wrong information to the police. Have you any idea what kind of challenge that could cause my operation? Ng, that has nothing to do with me. He was under instruction to do as I told him. You might need the police in this instance to help you out, but I need the police to disappear. They have compromised my entire operation in the UK and potentially Europe. Dmitry, why did you not call me first? I had time. I had those pair of pigs eating out my hand. They would have waited 10 more minutes. Alex felt betrayed, but quickly got hold of her emotions.
Oh. Alex felt betrayed. Wait,
because he was helpful to her. He was.
Oh yes, see?
He's still an asshole. He's not nice.
I know that. I mean, I've met loads of assholes that are helpful to me.
Who?
I'm grateful that they're helpful. No, not murderers.
I need names.
They're not murderers, but I've met loads of asshole Women.
Oh, women. Who? Can you say?
No,
I suppose you can't.
of course not. But they're helpful and they're nice. But they'll turn around and do the dirty on you. But that doesn't mean that I don't like them for what they've done. I don't.
I think I know who you're talking about.
No. There are so many people out there that are only and as we are only interested in our own self. So I cannot begrudge anybody for what they do. We're not talking about murder now.
No.
We're talking about people doing what they need to do to survive, to grow, to thrive. I can't begrudge that. No. They might not do it in a way that I personally like or would do it, but that's their thing. And it still doesn't mean if they're good to me, that's fine. That's all I need them to be. I can't judge them for what they do anywhere else. I can observe it and I don't like it. But there's that. And who am I to judge? I mean, who am I to go, oh, well, I don't think you should be doing that. That's their karma.
Okay.
Yeah. Bit bored now. What I'm trying to say is Orlov, I get that. Okay, I don't know what I'm trying to say. He is a murderer, so obviously if I was a police officer I would have to prevent that, but that's his jam.
Yeah, and he was helpful though.
He was helpful.
But gave them the wrong address.
No, he didn't.
He did?
Not on purpose.
I mean, yeah, but still the wrong address.
No, he didn't. Somebody was behind the scenes doing the whole switcheroo thing. He gave them a address. And
also, he gave them the name of the zookeeper.
So he was so helpful. She should be thankful.
Anyway. Orlov was no friend of hers. She had met him only once. At the behest of Renton, the information wasn't that brilliant, she thought. Alex turned to the rear of the dining room. Guys, check this out. We're in Ng's restaurant. He's having dinner with our friend from Club Schwartz. The conversation was cut short. Renton and Frank filed into the corner, all watching the screen. Dimitri, those pigs won't give you any shit anymore. I have something on them and make them go away. Ng, what would that be? Dimitri reached into his pocket. Some men in the room stood up and reached into their pockets. Ng held up his hand while shoveling egg noodles into his mouth.
I love the way your mind pictures that. So, okay, so that action of somebody putting their hand up while they're eating, like, so they're like, he's very aware of everybody around and what they're doing to protect him. But you putting those two actions together, that I really admire.
Oh, really?
Well, yeah, because it's an extra depth to, you are absolutely in that moment and you're reminding me that they're in a restaurant. Without telling me they're still sat in a restaurant. I've read some really bad books lately that tell me time and time again.
Really?
Just don't tell me, show me. But this is, I just love that extra layer. I imagine him doing that. It's good. I'm proud of you, babe.
Thank you. Dimitri, we're here as friends, Mr. Ng. No fireworks tonight, please. I have plans. He laughed haughtily. He pulled out his phone and clicked the screen. Can we zoom on that screen? Alex said. I'll try. The image will probably be a bit noisy, Ricky said. Then the sound came, the unmistakable sound of the Chinese man being flayed alive. The sound of the man sickeningly begging for his life, bringing back to Ricky the events of that night. He instantly felt nauseous. His mouth went dry and his tongue searched for some moisture. There was none. Alex sensed it. She touched his leg and gently squeezed and leaned in. We get through this first, she said quietly. Frank saw the touch and the whispering, and he frowned, tried to put the numbers together. Anything you need to tell me, Alex, Frank said.
Coming up with 10.
Yeah. She looked up. Not right now. After this is over. Frank nodded. He knew it was a fire that would need to be put out, and he would, for Alex and her team, do whatever he needed to do. The image was too noisy to figure out. Ng, this has no value to me. You think coming to my restaurant offering me an olive branch would make your actions go away. You Russians believe you can buy or muscle your way into any city in the world. You lack class. Orlov laughed. Dmitri, everyone has a price, and if the price is right, anyone can be bought. Ng, that's a mistake you can ill afford to make, sir. Dmitri, how so? Ng, you're on the police radar. Your sexual preferences and practices are not good for my business. Dmitri leaned forward, his girth pushing the table forward towards Ng, while he was still eating. He stopped and looked at the fat man in disgust. Do you mind? Dmitri, apologies. Listen, Mr. Ng, how can we go forward in business? Ng, you think the triads want a piece of your action? You're mistaken. We might take your business, but we don't want it. Why can't the world just have normal prostitution and normal sex? Why do we have to complicate it? Dmitri, it's the way of the world. The world has evolved. The internet is the conduit to all the closet sinners out there. The script was listing the conversation, and the room was watching as the green dot matrix script pumped out line after line of evidence. Ng, I can't have you leave here. You know that, right? Dmitri, what do you mean? Ng, you made a mistake coming here. I find it insulting that you would think this was okay. I had that mole in your organization spying on you. It wasn't the first thing that he had told me. You had him in your employ for more than a year. Second to this, he was a nephew of mine. Dmitri leaned back, and his chair, the creaking audible on the CCTV camera, suspended from the ceiling. Dmitri, what of it? Ng, I have to tell my brother, who entrusted me with that precious child of his, who is now dead, who died in the most horrific way possible. Alex was enjoying the eloquence of Ng's English. At the front of the store, the door opened. A woman dressed in black sassed her way into the restaurant. Ng turned and nodded to the woman. Both hands reached behind her back, a front knee dropping to the ground. The heavy one stood and was pulling out a Makarov pistol, and he was immediately halted by the report of 3 rounds to the chest. He flew into the back of his chair, almost toppling over. The woman stood. She sassed with attitude, as though it was a catwalk, struggling for breath, with both hands frantically searching his chest for the holes that were causing the positive pressure in the chest, making it impossible to breathe. Blood spreading across the white shirt like a forest fire. She approached the table and pulled out a plastic bag and snapped it over the man's head and yanked on the drawstring. The man fell forward, clawing at the plastic bag.
The man is just a bodyguard?
Yeah.
All right.
He was doubly doomed. Doubly doomed. He was doubly doomed.
Hyperbole, no?
The second heavy stood and uplifted the table out of the way, and the woman sidestepped and jumped on the table and somersaulted over the second heavy. He started as she vaulted over him, and at the same time she snapped the black leather belt around his throat, and her full weight pulled as the belt came. Her full weight pulled on the belt as she came to the ground behind him. Instantly, the pressure in the heavy's face made him go puce, eyes bulging. The woman bent forward, dragging the 110-kilo man off the floor, pulling hard on the belt, frantically scrambling at his throat as the oxygen depleted in his body, his face getting bluer and bluer. At the last minute, she released the belt. The heavy fell to the floor, grasping violently for air. His body started to recover from the oxygen debt. The woman pulled out a pistol and looked at Ng. He nodded. The heavy didn't get to see the gun. He didn't even know what had hit him. 3 rounds ripped into his brain, liquefying his cerebral matter to mush, dropping to the floor dead. In the 10 seconds it took Jie Yon to kill 2 heavies, the restaurant cleared of Chinese diners. Their silence already assured, the kitchen staff entered the dining area and started removing the bodies. Dmitri, I don't know what that is.
Duck.
Yeah,
What's that?
Duck Ng. What the fuck? I think that is basically Russian for what the fuck. It's a swear word in Russian.
Did you Google that?
I did Google that, yes. He went to stand and reached behind his rotund girth, his hand meeting the delicate hands of Ng's assassin. She pulled out the 9mm Beretta, clicked the eject button of the magazine, dropped out. With her thumb still watching Orlov, she flicked the 15 rounds out, each bouncing off the Russian's chest. When the last round was cleared, she pulled the top slide back and ejected the chambered round. She caught it and dropped it into his drink, snapped the magazine back, and handed the pistol back to Orlov. The woman slid into the chair next to Orlov without making a sound. She turned. She was facing him. He was...
Wait.
What?
Who did she just kill?
Well, she killed the two heavy. She's not killed Orlov. She's basically taken all the bullets out of his gun.
Oh, I see.
She's
Of
Orlov's gun, yeah. He went to reach behind, and so she grabbed the 9mm pistol. She's taken the magazine off, flicked all the bullets out of the magazine, taken the
thing out of the chamber,
put the magazine back, dropped the one bullet into his drink, and then
what was the thing about the chest?
She was
flicking against the chest. Right. Sorry.
The woman slid into the chair next to Orlov without making a sound. She turned, so she was facing him. He was less graceful sitting. The chair scraped and the table rebounded on its legs. She picked up his drink, held it to the light, and looking at the ejected round in the glass, then took a sip, eyes all over Orlov. The room at Frank's house was holding their breath. Did we just see that? Alex said. I think so. We are duty bound to intervene. People have been killed, Renton said. Chill your beans, Frank said. Alex turned, surprised by his reply. Renton glared at Alex. I know what you're thinking, Renton, but we have a good chance of collecting some major intel here. We have to let this play out. The room fell silent again, as though they were watching the hottest blockbuster movie. Ng, meet Jae-yeon. I no longer need to get my hands dirty. She is my secret weapon. She genuinely loves killing. North Korea's loss and very much my family's gain, don't you think? Dmitri was staring at her, pulling away, feeling hopeless. She reached into his lap. He hesitated and closed his eyes. She smiled and gently squeezed his thigh. Ng, you see, I have no reason to keep you. I don't want your business, and you are free to go, but first I want something from you. Dmitri's features softened. Dmitri, what can I offer you in return for my freedom? Ng, you won't give it lightly, nonetheless. We're going to take it from you. Ng motioned to some of the people out of camera shot. They came into view and pulled... Oh, right, okay, I remember this now.
You're getting excited.
No, this is not going to be quite nice.
Oh. For who?
Ng motioned to some people out of camera shot. They came into view and pulled the table behind them out of the way, and they grabbed the fat man, and Orlov started to cry out. Dmitri, what are you doing? He was laid out on one of the dining room tables. His trousers and jockeys were pulled down to his knees, exposing his manhood. Jae-yeon smiled wickedly. Dmitri, what are you doing? She grabbed his testicles and started massaging them. Look at...
Dmitri Orlov is the same person, right?
Yes,
Dmitri and Orlov are the same people.
Dmitri Orlov is the same person.
Yeah, so you're just calling him different things there, and I'm getting confused.
Okay.
They grabbed the fat man.
Well, no, Dmitri is when he speaks, and Orlov is when
he... Okay. Yeah, I understand.
She grabbed his testicles and started massaging him, looking at him. She reached behind and pulled out what Dmitri thought was a weapon. He flinched and screamed, and then he felt it. The warm tingling of a vibration on the end of his penis. Jae-yeon was gently rubbing the end of his glands with a vibrator. Why do you
even think of doing that? Why would you even think of putting that in a book?
Wait, it's clever. She started gently masturbating him. He closed his eyes and Ng stepped up and pulled his eyelids open. Ng, look, you filthy Russian pig, look at her. His legs started to thrash. The men were holding him down tighter, his penis now stiffly erect. Jae-yeon started rubbing him more vigorously. Then it came. Semen spat out of the end of his penis like molten lava. He groaned as his body racked with orgasmic ecstasy. His hormones and natural feeling taking over him in the 5 seconds it took to ejaculate.
Yeah, that wasn't very long.
Dmitri sat up. Dmitri, what the fuck did you do that for? Ng walked round and Jae-yeon handed him the vial. Ng held the glass jar with his seminal fluid inside to the light.
Oh, I know what's gonna happen.
Ng. Bit of a disappointing yield, Dmitri. Dmitri, if you wanted me to fuck someone, you only had to ask. Ng, the only person that's getting fucked tonight is you, my friend. Ng threw the vial to one of his men who left the room. Dmitri, what do you mean? Ng, call it insurance. You see, when I come calling, I will require you to roll out the red carpet and also 20% of your gross income. Dmitri, What the fuck do you mean 20%? Why would I give you 20% of my income, Ng? Simply because I now have your DNA. It dawned on Orlov what had just happened. He spun the legs off the table and looked at the floor. Ng, you don't comply with my demands, and then I will deposit your DNA in some poor girl or boy and watch the justice system take you down. He patted him on the shoulder. Ng, remember, 20%, which my men will be around tomorrow to take the first increment for this month. Dmitri, tomorrow? Ng, and try and fuck me. Not only will I see you set up for murder, I'll be sending J.E. on to your loved ones and have them slaughtered in their sleep. Dmitri, I understand.
You missed that last word.
I don't know what that is.
Ponimaye.
Yeah. I don't know what that is. I've forgotten now.
Understand.
Do you think that's what that means?
Probably. It makes sense.
Yes, because he says I
understand.
Ng, it's been a while since I read this book. My men will take you to wherever you'd like to go, Dmitri. Dmitri, I have my own driver. Ng, you mean you did? He's dead as well, and your car is gone. Dmitri watched him leave. Jae Young hung back, watching him. She winked and kissed the air at him, turned and filed out the door after a paymaster. The room was silent. Within 2 minutes, Dmitri had left, and the diner started entering the restaurant. Nothing told them that the 2 men were murdered and the third sexually assaulted in a way no one would ever have imagined. "Did we go in?" Ricky said, still staring at the screen. "No," Alex said. There was a pause. "Our primary target is Brock. We have to get back to Dorset, to this farm. We'll find what we're looking for." Why are you shaking your head?
I'm not. I wasn't. I was. Yes. No, I don't know. I don't know why I'm shaking my head.
"What about these guys?" Frank asked. "Renton has got Dmitri another day. And I need to make a phone call," Alex said, waving her phone above her head.
You know why I'm shaking my head? Because I agree. They shouldn't do anything, because otherwise they'll reveal that they watched it.
Yes, that's right.
But I'm thinking now Dimitri's going to be okay because they know that he'll be set up for that.
She made her way to the patio doors and slid one of them open. She stepped out into the conservatory and pushed the door shut. Her phone was lighting up her face as she searched for the number. "I've been chasing you all week, Sergeant Brown," said the voice on the other end. "Been a bit busy." "Why do you want to speak to me, Mr. Broadstone?" "Well, considering the late hour and what's happened at your Nick today, I might ask you, why are you calling me?" Simon asked. His voice was very English, white middle class, Waitrose customer type. It was a strong voice that had the typical military edge to it, so he was talking in those clipped. That we were talked about in the beginning, yeah.
I can tell a soldier, especially when you're doing a presentation or any. Do you get trained to do that way?
It's the way you communicate. You literally speak in what we call S-bar.
But it's even when you're doing like a presentation or when you're, and even reading this, you're like, duh. It's like,
yeah. What can I say?
Don't do it.
I don't know. Anyway, he sounded a little tinny. In a car, maybe, Alex thought. "I've just witnessed something that I feel I need to share with you. But you can't trust me," Simon said.
Wait. So who phoned who?
She phoned him.
Why?
Because he needs to speak to her.
But then all of a sudden she's telling.
Should we just carry on and then we may find out? Yeah?
She's just like talking to him like she knows who he is.
But she's not spoken to him. But he's been trying to call her all week.
Yeah, but I've just witnessed something that I feel I need to share with you. Well, but you can't trust me, Simon says. So who is he? Where's he from? Does she know who he is?
Oh yeah, from British intelligence.
Right.
Well, he's actually said Interpol. So she thinks he's from Interpol.
Right. So she does know, because it's like this random dude, and I've just seen something I need to tell you.
But she's under the impression he's from Interpol.
I see. I understand.
"But you can't trust me," Simon said. "That's about right," Alex replied. She sat in the cane furniture. It creaked.
Right, stop it.
"That's about right," Alex replied. She sat in the cane furniture. It creaked to the extent that she had to stand again. "Your investigation is leaving a lot of bodies around the place, which is looking a little unexplained. Not good for police business, I'll wager," he said. I'm beginning to feel the heat from the headshed, Alex said, looking into the darkness of the garden through the double glazing. I need to make headway in arrests. One arrest is not enough, she added. Mr. Gormley, Broadstone commented. Yes, you're informed. More than you know, Broadstone said. Speak to me, he added. I've just seen Ng and Orlov meet. There was a pause. How did that end up? He asked. Your pause told me that you think something happened. It did. 2 of Orlov's heavies got slotted. Orlov, well, not sure what happened there. But he walked away. He's going to owe Ng big time. What's the deal with Ng? You must know something, Alice said. I do. The number you have called me on is a secure line. For you to trust me, Alex, I'm going to throw you a couple of bones. I'm listening, Alex said. Ng works for British intelligence, has for many years. We met in Oxford when he was a student.
Ng works for British intelligence?
Listen. We met in Oxford when he was a student. His connections to the Chinese government have given us both strategic and corporate edges in our favour. You could say, at this juncture, he's protected. Bullshit. I beg your pardon, Broadstone asked. I just watched that piece of shit kill 2 men, sexually assault another man. My police station has his name all over it, and second to that the fucker is implicated in a serious crime committed in this country. I want him in irons and standing trial. Not going to happen, Alex, he said flatly. So, this guy works for British intelligence. Simon cut her off. Government, not intelligence. Don't take me for a mug, Mr. Broadstone. Governments come and go. He left Oxford years ago. If you recruited him, then he works for the intelligence. Broadstone was silent. Alex knew he wouldn't be able to go against the establishment. So let me rephrase for the sake of your intentions. Ng works for the establishment as a spy, delivering you guys defence documents and corporate espionage. Alex was deliberately using clandestine words to steer the conversation. Broadstone smiled and he clocked it. You know about these triad connections, Alex asked. Yes, we do, he said. Do you know of his connections to Del Brock? There was a pause. Okay, listen, Alex, I'm going to throw you another bone. Do you know of his connections to Del Brock? Simple yes or no, she pushed. We do, but not the full extent until we tapped into your investigation. Another pause. Kind of pissed, Mr. Broadstone. Why is that? He asked. Well, that an intelligence agency has tapped into my investigation. That you know that one of your known criminals that takes the piss out of its paymasters and uses his connections to get a fugitive out of the country by foreign diplomatic means. Namely, because the fugitive is a suspected serial killer that feeds a black market in human organs and puts his victims through a meat mincer to hide his tracks, and you just asked me why I'm pissed. I can see he was cut off. I don't think you do, actually, Alex said, was raging. At what point when you were at boarding school, which forgive me if that's an assumption, is incorrect, did you think that you would handle a psychopath who looks after an even bigger psychopath in the name of the crown? In maths or English, or when the housemasters were bumming the shit out of you? She left it hanging. Broadstone smiled. Have you lost your mind? She added. I can see that's how this all looks, Broadstone said. But we generally didn't know about Brock. We knew of him, but not to the extent he was operating. So why can't we lift the whole lot of them? We have the evidence, Alex inquired. Ng is off limits to many reasons, and I can't go into. The reasons are not self-serving. What we can do is remove Ng and his organisation from the UK. I don't believe you, Alex said. What do you mean? Are you Harry Potter or something? Do you think we can wave a magic fucking wand and this will all go away? I don't get you, Broadstone said. Innocent women have been killed for the most heinous of reasons, and you think that taking Ng away is good enough for me, Alex said. She was feeling the anger bubble inside her. We can hand you Brock. I'll get Ng to hand him over to me, or at least get his whereabouts. I'll read that again. We can hand you Brock. I'll get Ng to hand him over to me, or at least get his whereabouts. That's a start, I guess, Alex said. Another bone, Alex, Broadstone said. I'm listening. Platford pointed you in the right direction of the butcher boy. That's right, she said, wondering how he knew. That should be new. It's the wrong guy. Oh, Alex said. The name is nuanced. You need to find the butcher's boy. Now, the butcher boy owns Lolly's nightclub and is a well-known politician. He knows Brock very well. Alex thought for a moment. Butcher's boy and butcher boy. What's the correlation, she asked. Drop the S and you have a master. Add the S and you have the student. If you want to know where Brock came from, he's your man. Is he a nonce? Alex asked. God, no. He's into twinks, with of legal age. Very submissive. He's Stephen Bromelo. Alex heard her databanks in her head. The guy that the zookeeper was talking about, she came up with the Home Secretary. There was a pause. Simon filled the gap. Yeah, the Home Secretary. He's expecting your call. Alex phone pinged, withheld number. You? She asked. Yes, it's his number. He's a lovely guy, very eccentric, and, as I said, owns lollies.
Stop. Okay, so Butcher's boy is Brock.
Yeah.
Butcher boy.
Butcher boy is Bromelo.
But they are connected.
They are connected, yeah.
So Brock teaches Bromelo.
No, the other way around.
Okay.
Yeah. So Butcher boy, and then Butchers, the S means student, so he's lesser in the equation.
Okay.
Yeah. That's where nonces hang out, though, Alex asked. I think you'll find that nonces hang out everywhere. If there are child abusers there, they won't be doing anything illegal. It's a gay bar. Thanks, Alex said softly. She paused. I thought you were Interpol, she asked. I am. But I also work for the government. You mean intelligence, Alex said, probing. If that's what you want to call it. Another pause. I threw you those bones because I want something in return. I'm listening, Alex said. There's a lot of corruption in healthcare systems globally. You have experience in the clinical world, military, and now a seasoned detective in the Met Police. I've watched your progress through this investigation and I want to offer you a job. Doing what? Alex was now looking through the window, her team crowded around the computer. I want you to run out of London. Your own team, great budget, chasing healthcare-related crime throughout Europe. I can't imagine anything that would warrant an international police unit that would chase healthcare-related crime. Seemed lame, Simon laughed. You'll be surprised. Venture capitalists are running most healthcare infrastructures into the ground. Anyone gets close to it, they disappear. We're also dealing with a lot of cybercrime that relates to healthcare, rogue scientists and dysfunction in pharmaceutical companies. You read the book Coma, right? Pause. I'll give you 3 strikes off the crease. That's a cricket term. Crease.
Okay. Have we read the book Coma?
I've read it. Have you read it? So it's quite old, but it's like the 70s. I've forgotten who wrote it now.
I think I've read it. It seems familiar. What's it about?
It's about people that are put in medically induced comas and then stored. So they do like experiments on them and things like that. But it's like an aircraft hangar full of people in comas.
I can't remember.
They made a film as well.
Yeah,
no,
maybe I've seen the film. Okay.
And it's all covered up by a massive company. And what do you mean? Alex asked. I'll ask you only 2 more times, then you won't hear from me again, he said. Okay, let me think about it. Sure. The line went dead. Alex went back to the room and everybody looked around. Ricky, find me everything you have on Simon Broadstone. Don't leave anything unturned. Sure, Sarge, on it. Renton, grab your coat. Where are we going? He asked. Dorset. We're going to Dorset. That's the end of the chapter. Okay? Happy?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm happy.
What do you want to ask? You're not asking me something.
No, I'm just... You're reading it like an army person. I want you to be a bit more expressive.
In what
like
way?
You're telling a story. Sure, the line went dead. Alex went back into the room and everybody looked around. Ricky, find me everything you've got on Simon Broadstone. Don't leave anything unturned. Sure, Sarge, on it. Renton, grab your coat. Where are we going? He asked. Dorset. We're going to Dorset.
Did I not read it like that?
No.
I thought I did.
But I think you're in a rush.
I'm not in a rush. That's how I read. Well, you've heard my Audible. You've heard my Audible.
Yes, I know. You read like that.
I read at like 1.8.
I can't.
I listen to it at 1.8 on my Audible.
I don't. But there are times. I mean, I listen to non-fiction on Audible, and there are times where I have to switch it off because I have to go, what was that? And I feel really unintelligent. It's like there is a blockage. It's like there is a drain with leaves in it, and it's not getting through.
I can read a 40-hour book in 20 hours.
Oof. That's a waste of a credit.
It's not.
I
still absorb the information. I still hear it.
Yeah, but I'm like, oh, that's 40 hours. If I listen to my book an hour a day, that's 40 days.
No.
Yeah.
Get it done next. Get it done next. So that's how I read, and that's how I listen.
Yeah.
You know, so I suppose I do. Like, even academically, my tutors have said, you write in a rush.
Yes.
So you're trying to get to your conclusion a bit too quick.
Although you don't seem to write in a rush here. I think you're in a rush to get to the end of this book.
Yeah, I think, we need to finish.
Things are tumbling, but I
it's been nearly a year, babes.
Yeah, but things are tumbling. Like, all of the information, when you've written this, things are all tumbling in. All the information is pulling together. So yeah, you've got your. So well.
This is going to be a good chapter.
Oh, okay. We'll wait till next week then. Well, that was great. I think it's good.
So loops are closing.
That's what it is. I like the idea that she's got like this little promotion. She should take Ricky with her.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's a yes. Of course she is. She's got a rapport with him. But she won't take Frank.
No.
Frank's retiring, isn't he?
Frank.
Does he die?
Frank appears in Origami. That's the next time we see Frank.
What about Renton?
We see Renton in the next book.
Okay. All right, babe. That was good. What was that?
I was just telling the people on here.
What? I missed it.
I'm not going to tell you.
Yeah, but this is a podcast. This isn't a video.
Yeah, but this is a video.
What did you say? Why are you looking at me like that? Okay. Let's say goodbye to these wonderful people. Let them go on with their jobs.
Your day. Enjoy your day.
Your day, not your jobs. I want to know, actually, do you listen to us in 1.5?
You can't on podcasts.
Can you not?
I don't think you can. Actually.
I don't know.
Maybe you can, actually. Oh. I don't listen to podcasts. Sometimes they're really long.
Well, it's that whole intro bit which we've actually managed to successfully put in ours. Okay. All right. Well, let's say goodbye. We'll see you guys all next week. Thank you so much for listening to our podcast.
Yeah. Have a good week.
And don't forget, don't judge a book by its cover.
Stay frosty.